ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। नमः श्रीशङ्करानन्दगुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे सविकल्पस्य लक्ष्यत्वे लक्ष्यस्य स्यात् अवस्तुता निर्विकल्पस्य लक्ष्यत्वं न दृष्टं न च संभवे. In this chapter 1 of Panchadashi, Tattva Viveka Prakarana chapter, we have just concluded a small Mananam section. Mananam section where we saw this logician, one who raises an objection. He belongs to the Nyaya school of philosophy. So he has an objection regarding the Mahavakya Vichara. Now, what did we do in the Mahavakya Vichara? Tattvamasi Mahavakya. We saw that one cannot take the primary Vachyartha of Tvam and equate it to Vachyartha of Tat. Why? Because the Vachyartha of Tvam will be the Jiva, who is none other than Brahma, conditioned by Malina Sattva. So, Malina Sattva means the Jiva is subject to Avidya Maya. And when one is subject to Avidya Maya, one will be having Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, etc. Samsara Chakra is on. So, that is not the meaning we take of Tvam. Then again, Tat side. What is the primary or Vachyartha of that? Same Shuddha Brahma, but conditioned by Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva, and that is the Ishvaraha. Srishti Sthiti Layakarta Ishvaraha. So that with the Maya Upadhi. Again, we don't take these two primary meanings. What did we take? Lakshyartha. Applying the Bhagatyaga Lakshana method, then the Lakshyartha of both Tvam and Tat is arrived at as Akhandam Satchidananda Chaitanya Swarupa Atma Brahma. But then this logician has a problem. He objects and he says, how can you arrive at this Lakshyartha of Tat and Tvam as Akhandam Satchidananda Nirguna Parabrahma? That cannot be possible. Why? Because he says all these Lakshana words, Lakshana Vakyas and words, they can only reveal an object with attributes. So we saw all the Padarthas, Guna, Kriya, Jati, Sambandha. Yeah, all these are characteristics with which we define an object in the world, anything in the Jagat. So then how can your Lakshana Vakyas reveal or make known the attributeless Brahma? It is not possible. So your Brahma, Nirguna Brahma, Lakshyartha does not exist. Your Mahavakya Vichara is a wasteful pursuit and it cannot be known, cannot be revealed by words. Now that is the logic, this person is using. Then he is not done. He says, okay, if your Lakshyartha is Saguna Brahma, which it is not, we know it cannot be Saguna Brahma, but if it is Saguna Brahma, then what is his problem there? The problem is Saguna Brahma will mean the Vastu is endowed with attributes and which are constantly changing and finite and conditioned in time and space. And that will reduce to Mithya. So in this case, your Brahma, which you call ultimate reality Satyam, has reduced to Mithya. So then there is no Satyam Brahma. So this was the objection in brief. So you see here, his objection is, we have all this Jati, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha. This is how we define the people. We say, oh, you are from the Kurnool district. And he says, yes, and you belong to this family, the Kula of Ayyappa Dikshitar Kula, that is your Jati. Okay. Then Guna, somebody sings beautifully. or somebody is walking and talking, then what is a sambandha relationship? So this is how we indicate words in the world. But how can you apply words to that which has no attribute, which has no jati, kriya, sambandha, nama, rupa, everything is absent? You cannot apply. That is his objection. So that was shloka number 49. Then now the ball is in Vidyaranya Muni's court, and the Muni is going to retaliate and give a tit for tat, counter argument and say that, in your objection itself, there is a defect. Do you know the meaning of guna? Do you know what is saguna and what is nirguna? How can you have vikalpas, that is a thought, and visualize about nirvikalpaka Brahma and saguna Brahma? So your objection itself is not valid. And that Vidyaranya Muni points out in the 50th shloka, which also we have done. So, this is again the logician. No? The logician, he has a problem if our Brahma is Saguna and Nirguna. Yeah. And both will not fit in, and you will not arrive at the reality. विकल्पो निर्विकल्पस्य सविकल्पस्य वा भवेत् आद्ये व्याहतिरन्यत्रानवस्थात्वाश्रयादयः. So now what does Vidyaranya Muni do? He calmly silences this Purva Pakshi, the Purva Pakshi, and pointing out the defect. He says that if your vikalpa, if your vikalpa or your thought or objection is with regard to Nirguna Brahma, then what? Then there will be self-contradiction. Yeah? Self-contradiction is you are contradicting yourself. That is called vyahatihi or vyaghata dosha. Supposing I say, my grandfather was a nitya brahmachari. Is that an acceptable statement? No. Right? So I am the visible proof that my grandparent had married and had a son, my father, and then I was born. Right? That is called vyaghata dosha. So Vidyaranya Muni is saying that you are having a vikalpa with respect to nirvikalpa Brahma. So that does not match. So that is a self-contradiction, and that is vyaghata dosha. Okay. Now regarding your second objection, you have an objection even with Saguna Brahma. So what is the objection there? Then if it is the second, that is, what is the second? If your vikalpa or doubt is regarding savikalpa or savishesha Saguna Brahma bhavet, then what? Anyatra anavastha doshaha atmashraya dayaha. Okay, so then also there is a problem. So the Muni, Acharya says that if you are visualizing Saguna Brahma, then what is Saguna Brahma? The Vastu endowed with attributes. So now you are bringing in another Vikalpa, an attribute, to something that is already attributed. Okay, Saguna Brahma is already attributed. It is like, blue, the color blue cannot rest in a blue substance because it's already blue. Right? That is called Atmashraya dosha. That is, how can you bring an attribute into that which already has an attribute? Because any attribute, guna, will require an adhara. That adhara is already taken. So what is the sense in bringing a duplicate attribute to that which is already attributed? That is called Atmashraya dosha. Then if his argument would be, no, I'm bringing another attribute, a different attribute, then there will be Anyonya Ashraya dosha, which is called mutual interdependence. It's like, I borrow money from you and you borrow money from me. Or if I tell somebody, my house is opposite the Ganesha temple, Then the person says, where is a Ganesha temple? Opposite my house. It is a meaningless pursuit. So here, Vidyaranya Muni points out that if you bring in another attribute, then one attribute is already residing in the Vastu, attributed Saguna Brahma. Then where will this other attribute go? So the first attribute and the second attribute will depend on each other. Yeah, and that will cause this logical fallacy of Anyonya Ashaya. Yeah. So then Adyaha, you saw the Adi Padartha in that shloka, which means if you bring in more attributes, attribute 1, 2, 3, 4, it is like, Shiva borrowing money from Rama, Rama borrowing from Krishna, Krishna borrowing from Shiva, and Shiva borrowing back from Rama. Circular Chakraka dosha. And then Anavastha dosha, all that will apply. So, Vidyaranya Muni is pointing out the fallacious reasoning for this, the logician. Now, this is called a dustarka. Dustarka means a logic which is not favorable to arrive at the discovery. So, this Purva Pakshi is a Dvaiti. Dvaiti means he wants to just dismiss Advaita Vedanta and argue that he is right and Advaita Vedanta is wrong. Yeah, because for this logician, what is real? The world is real. The Dvaita Prapancha is very real. He cannot accept the Advaita Tattvam. Now, here, Acharya has given an immediate reply to this logician. Later on, in 53, Acharya will give a more detailed reply about how, what is the answer now? We should not be confused. Answer is the Lakshyartha of Tat and Tvam is indeed Nirguna Parabrahma. And that Nirguna Parabrahma is the Adhara, is the substratum or basis for the entire Dvaita Prapancha. Take any Nama Rupa, attributes, Kriya, Jati, Sambandha, Guna, all these Padarthas, they can all rest and be accommodated in the Nirakara, Nirguna, Parabrahma Tattva. And that is what Acharya is going to explain in the next few verses. So this retaliation has silenced the Purva Pakshi, and now in the 51st verse, what did we see? Idam guna kriya jati dravya sambandha vastushu samam tena swarupasya sarvam etat iti ishyatam. So now Acharya says that all your padarthas, what are the padarthas? These are 6 or 7 padarthas. Guna, attribute, kriya, action, jati, species, sambandha, relationship, and dravya, substance. Like I say, this is a pen. That means this is a dravya called pen. And it is my pen, sambandha. And it writes well. There's a quality to it. This is how we describe the world. Now, Acharya says, you extend this logic to any of these, not only guna. If your vikalpa is not only an attribute, but it is an action, then you will ask the question, does action rest in the substance with action or without action? Same logical fallacies will follow. Yeah? Because the Paramatattvam is Nishkriyaha, Nirjatihi, Nissambandhaha. But it can accommodate all the sambandhas, all the actions, attributes, guna, and kriya. So, in the 51st shloka, Acharya says, you extend the same logic to anything, any guna, nama, rupa, anything, and you cannot arrive at, anything else other than the Nirguna Parabrahma as the Adhara. Yeah, and all the functions, everything, the whole matter principle rests, is accommodated in that Adhara. See the second line here, Swarupasya etam, Swarupasya sarvam etat iti ishyatam. Swarupa, that's the key word here. Swarupa is Chaitanya Swarupaha, Nirguna Parabrahma, in that Sarvam Etad, the entire, objective world of matter rests. Yeah. But for this logician, the objective world, this Dvaitam is reality. But what does Vedanta say? All the padarthas rest in Brahman, which is the non-dual reality. And that is the Chaitanya Swarupaha. So, simply, the conclusion is for Advaita Vedantins, what is the ultimate essence and ultimate reality and truth? Consciousness, Swarupaha. What is the ultimate essence and truth for such logicians, Purvapakshis? Matter. So that is their drishti. And so this is how Vidyaranya Muni refuted this Purvapakshi. Now, you see, logic is helpful to a certain extent if it is Shruti Anukula logic, favorable logic. So, Mananam is very important because we should not be blindly just simply listening and swallowing everything. So, then such a belief can be challenged at any time. There is a Nyaya in Sanskritam called Sthuna Khanana Nyaya. Sthuna Khanana Nyaya. Now, Khanana means digging, and Sthuna is a post or a pole. So, imagine a ground where they've done Bhumi Puja and they want to erect a pole there. So, the construction workers come and they dig the ground first and they stick the pole inside. Yeah. Then what will they do after they cover the base of the pole? They will shake it a little bit, shake the pole. If it still shakes, then they have to do more digging and put a proper base. And then they shake it, it won't shake. So that is the Dhrida Jnanam, crystal clear knowledge that a mumukshu should have. Yeah, it cannot be challenged. That crystal clear, doubt-free knowledge. If it has doubts, then we are as good as ignorant. So, Mananam is important, and Mananam we do through, like we did yesterday, through discussions, through raising questions and answers, revisiting our notes. It's very important for Samshaya Nivrittihi. Okay. Now, what has this Purvapakshi done? He has surrendered to Vidyaranya Muni. Shishyas Deham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. Yeah, and he has been silenced. Now, Acharya continues to the next verse and gives the whole vision of Vedanta in verse number 52. So let us look at that verse. So here, idam. Idam means here the logical fallacies. Yeah, idam samam. These same logical fallacies will apply to all these padarthas, guna, kriya, jati, dravya, sambandha, these vastus. Okay. Now let us go to 52. विकल्प तदभावाभ्याम् असंस्पृष्टात्मवस्तुनि विकल्प तदभावाभ्याम् असंस्पृष्टात्मवस्तुनि विकल्पितत्वलक्ष्यत्व सम्बन्धाद्यास्तु कल्पिताः विकल्पितत्वलक्ष्यत्व सम्बन्धाद्यास्तु कल्पिताः विकल्प तत् अभावाभ्याम असंस्पृष्ट आत्मवस्तुनि विकल्पितत्व लक्ष्यत्व संबंधादि तु संबंध्याद्यः तु कल्पिताः. Okay, so here look at the keyword. Keyword is the last word. Kalpitaha. Kalpitaha means appearance, projection. Kalpitaha. And author is playing with the word vikalpa. Now, what does the word vikalpa mean? We have to be clear. Vikalpa means a thought, a property, an attribute, something that we visualize with the mind. Now, earlier on, the same Acharya told this Nayayika, how can you even think about Nirguna Parabrahma? It's not possible. Because It is beyond the intellect. At the level of our mind, what do? We have all this vichara, vibhaga, tyaga, lakshana, vichara, vikalpas, saguna, nirguna, we are discussing and objecting and counteracting. But nirguna parabrahma is what? Asamsprishtaha. Asamsprishtaha means there is no sparsha. It is uninvolved, it is asangaha, it is unattached and unaffected. So where is all this logical discussions and fallacies and everything happening in the world at the level of the mind? Yeah, all logic is all function of the intellect, buddhi. So here, Acharya says, be there any amount of vikalpas, or that abhava or absence of vikalpas, absence of attributes, jati, guna, kriya, sambandha, all that, then tabhyam, by that, this atma vastu, with respect to atma vastu, there is no contact. It is asam sparshar. Asam, what's the word here? Asam sprishta. There is no sparsha. No, there is no contact between the two. So the second line also I'll complete. No, vikalpitatva lakshitva sambandhadyaha tu kalpitaha. So all this vikalpa that is happening, we are all imagining and visualizing even that, nirvikalpa Brahma is free from guna, jati, karma, all this. That is also, within the range of the mind. Okay. Then lakshatva. Lakshatva means denotability. No, we are indicating the nirguna parabrahma. So, but nirguna parabrahma is asamsprishtaha by all this. Why? Because all of this sambandhadyaha is sambandha, jati, guna, karma, all these that we have seen, padarthas, they are what? Kalpitaha. Now, the word kalpitaha is very, very important. Kalpitaha means imagined. Yeah, it is an appearance. So, what is this verse all about? Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. So, we have seen how by the power of Maya, Brahma endowed with the Maya becomes the Upadana Karanam for the entire Jagat. And so, the Upadana Karanam is the material cause. But the material cause, like, this clay is a material cause for the pot. Now here, the verse is saying that this clay, Karanam, is asamsprishtaha. It is not affected by the pot. There is no contact between clay and pot. Why? Because pot is mithya. Pot is an appearance, kalpitaha. Pot is a projection, is a manifestation. Yeah? And nothing happens to clay. Whether pot is there today, tomorrow pot breaks, but clay continues. The waves arrive, rise and fall, but nothing happens to the water. That is the meaning of asamsprishtaha. That is nirguna parabrahma was, is and will be, is attributeless. Yeah. And whether attributes and worlds and yugas appear or they disappear, whether we are having vikalpas or there is absence of vikalpas, yeah, or whether we are discussing lakshana vakyas or not, asamsprishtaha. So, Vidyaranya Muni is pointing out that, one cannot have vikalpas with respect to nirvikalpa parabrahma. That is the point here. And now we can connect this to the Gita shlokas, where we saw the fourth and the fifth shloka of chapter 7, I think, or 9. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha nacha matsthani bhutani pashyami yogamaishwaram. Krishna tells Arjuna there, Arjuna, Maya tatamidam jagadavyaktamurtina. Look at the whole jagat. That is Maya, by me, the jagat has generated. So they are all in me. But na chaham teshu avastitaha. I am not in them. Then the second verse, fifth verse said, Nacha matstani bhutani. They are also not in me. And look at Pashyami Yoga Maishwaram. Look at the magic. So the magic is making the pot disappear. So with the Sukshma Drishti, we can see that the pot does not really exist. The pot is but clay. Clay alone exists. Where did the pot go? The pot went away through vichara, through logic. So same way, the Jagat is not really there. The Jagat is a manifestation of the Karanam. Karanam alone is there. And so here Vidyaranya Muni says, whatever you do or say, Atma Brahma is asamsprishtaha. Another shloka from the Gita, chapter 2. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati papakaha, na chainam kledayantyapaha, na shoshayati marutaha. The five elements cannot touch or affect the Atma. Atma cannot be burnt by fire, wet by water, dried by wind, cut by weapons, Prithvi Tattvam. Or you take space. The space here, it cannot be burnt or wet or dried or cut. Space is indivisible. So the indivisible, attributeless, space-like Nirguna Parabrahma is asamsprishtaha. There is no connection. So what Acharya is saying here, that all these vikalpas, vikalpas can all rest in the Nirvikalpa Brahma. They can coexist. How coexist? Because they belong to different orders of reality. This is very important. Now we all know the three orders of reality. Paramarthika Satyam is Nirguna Parabrahma. Vyavaharika Satyam is the Jagat. Yeah, Namarupa Kriyatmakam Jagat. Then within the Vyavaharika reality, transactional empirical reality, there is a third reality, that is Pratibhasika, subjective reality, like the dream. Now in the dream money earned, can I deposit it in my account in the waking state? No. In the dream, I suffered from fever. Will I go and consult Dr. Kumada in the waking state? No. Right? In the dream, one may be playing the role of a wife, but in the waking state, one is really the husband. It's possible, no connection. Asamsprishtaha. Yeah. Why? Because they are coexisting. The waker is there and the waker is switched off. The dreamer is on. So they are coexisting. The dreamer is enjoying a bright sunny day. But in the waking world, the waker is asleep at night. So day and night are coexisting. But there is no contact. Why is there no contact? Because they are different orders of reality. One is Paramarthika, one is Vyavaharika. Now, within the Vyavaharika reality, there is a Sambandha, there is Guna, Jati, Kriya, but not between a higher and a lower order of reality. Okay? So so whole vision is here in this 52 shloka. Now, there is a slight summing up. Let us see this. Now in 49th, what did we see? This Nayayika is objecting. Okay. And Vidyaranya Muni counteracted him and pointed out the logical fallacy. And finally, what is our answer? Brahman is Nirguna. Lakshyartha is Nirguna. Whether you accept or not, that is the truth. Attribute free. Then in 51, we saw that word kalpitaha, all the attributes are unreal. Now the word unreal, a better word is mithya. Okay? Because mithya is sat asadbhyam anirvachaniya. It is real, kind of real, but it is not really real. So it is mithya. So all the attributes are an appearance, superimposition. So then just now in this shloka, what does Acharya say? Even the ideas, it exists or non-exist, do they apply to Nirguna Parabrahma? No. They are vikalpas in our mind. You can only have vikalpas about matter principle, but not about Chaitanyam Swarupaha. So, what is the message here? That this Atma Brahma is asamsprishtaha. And all the dualities, Dvaitam, and all vikalpas, they are mental concepts, they are thoughts. And Brahman is beyond the level of the mind. We cannot fathom it. So it cannot be described as finite or even infinite, this or that. It is beyond affirmation and negation. So thus, you see how profound this shloka number 52 is, which dissolves all the vikalpas. All the vikalpas. So then the question which comes to everyone is, then how to reach that Brahma, which is beyond thought, beyond words? That is by using a favorable logic, and we're going to come to the verses by Nididhyasanam. When we withdraw the mind from all kinds of vikalpas into a subtle state, then what is the answer finally? Silence. So you are that. So let us be that instead of arguing about it. That is going to be the answer which Acharya is going to say now. So that is the who am I, meditation of Ramana Maharishi. Now you sit quietly, dwell upon, who am I? Then first the negations will happen. Can I be the body? No. Mind? No. You do Panchakosha Viveka. Then finally, for this jnani will arrive at the Tattvam. And that is by Aparoksha Anubhuti. Understanding that Atma Brahma was always there. It is a substratum. It is always experienced. Pratibodha viditam matam. And that comes when we have the pure karanas, all the body, mind, senses. That is why sadhana chatushtayam is so important for understanding and discovering the Atma Tattvam. Now let's go to 53rd shloka. So now this Mananam is closed, this topic. And now Acharya moves towards the topic of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasanam. So you see here once again, there are these two main orders of reality, which we know, Paramarthika, and the Shastras say that Tat Brahma Tvam Asi. You are the Paramarthika Satyam. But at the level of the body and mind, there is a lower order, Vyavaharika, transactional level. That also we have to respect. Yeah, and that is where all the role playing comes into place. Yeah, and even the Guru Shishya Sambandha, does all the teaching happen at the Paramarthika level or Vyavaharika level? Vyavaharika, obviously. So all the doubts raised, it's all happening as part of the Vyavahara. But at the Paramarthika level, what does Acharya Shankara sings in the Song of Liberation, Nirvana Shatkam? Na Guruhu, na Shishyaha, na Mata, na Pita, and na Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha, nothing is there. Negates everything. But at the Vyavaharika level, we have to respect all of it. Yeah, all of it, and only the turning away from Artha, Kama on the Shreyo Margaha, following Dharma, which will lead to Moksha. All this is happening in the Sattvika Vyavaharika plane. In order for us to arrive and discover the Paramatattvam, which is Asamsprishtaha Atma. So now we are moving towards the triple sadhana in Jnana Yoga, that is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam, which we've heard many, many times. Acharya is going to define these in the next two verses. And the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam also, this is the triple sadhana in Jnana Yoga. Now, Jnana Yoga itself, to come to Jnana Yoga, we need a lot of punyam. Yeah? Advaita Vasana, Ishwarat Anugraha Eva Advaita Vasana. Only by great punyam does one even have an inclination to listen to Gita and Upanishads and Panchadashi. Because for that one should be ready. Adhikaritvam should be there, sadhana chatushtiyam, viveka vairagyam, chatka sampati, mumukshutvam. Then Guru Prapti should be there. Then the Guru starts unfolding the Shravanam for us and we start listening. So initially we did not know who I am, who or what is Ishvara. Does Ishvara live in some loka? Or Ishvara is a concept? Then what is the connection between me and Ishvara and the Jagat? We knew nothing about all this until we started Shravanam. So now in the next verse, Acharya is going to define Shravanam and let us see that definition. Itham vakyaistadarthanusandhanam Shravanam bhavet. Itham vakyaistadarthanusandhanam Shravanam bhavet. Yuktya sambhavitatvanusandhanam mananantu tat. Yuktya sambhavitatvanusandhanam mananantu tat. Itham vakyaihi tat artha anusandhanam Shravanam bhavet. Definition of Shravanam. Yuktya sambhavitatva anusandhanam mananam tu tat. Both definitions in one line. Itham. Itham means in this way. Itham bhute tritiya, we have in Sanskritam. In this way what? Vakyehi. By such mahavakyas like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahma Asmi, Tat Brahma Tvamasi. Vakyehi tat artha anusandhanam. Anusandhanam we saw even yesterday. No, what is Jnana Bhaktihi Swaswarupa Anusandhanam? Iti Jnana Bhaktihi Gariyasi Uchyate. Acharya Shankara mentioned in the Viveka Chudamani. Now, Anusandhanam, we will come across this in the north, Anusandhana Kendra Research Center. So, Anusandhana means deep analysis, research. So, here, Acharya says, when we expose the mind to such vakyas, vakyehi, tat artha anusandhanam. When we do anusandhanam, when we deeply analyze, of course, Guru Mukhat, having approached a sampradaya with Guru, who unfolds the Shastras and the Mahavakya Vichara, and we discuss and try to understand the Shruti Tatparya. What is the vision of the Shruti, which is given in the Mahavakya? Tat artha anusandhanam, that is called Shravanam. So Shravanam is the common definition we always use is listening systematically, consistently to the Vedanta Shastras, unfolding the Mahavakya Vichara by a Sampradaya with Guru for a length of time without interruptions. That is the classical definition of Shravanam. So Puja Swamiji will say, only through Shravanam we will arrive at the Jiva Ishvara Aikya Jnanam by listening. Because the Guru is holding the mirror. The Shastra is like the mirror. And the Guru says, look, Tat Brahma Tvamasi. Shastra, the mirror is reflecting you. You are not this Karta, Bhokta, struggling, miserable, finite, inadequate Jiva, struggling. But you are Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Tat Brahma Tvamasi Asti Bhati Priyam. You are the Parama Prema Aspadaha. All that who's going to tell us? Not our parents or our friends or colleagues. Shastra alone. Guru Mukhat. So we have to listen to the Shastras for a length of time. And that itself needs adhikaritvam. Yeah, to start the listening process. Okay. Now the second line here defines mananam. As you can see. Look at the first one. Itham vakyehi tadartha anusandhanam Shravanam is called Shravanam bhavet. Then yuktya sambhavitatva anusandhanam mananam tu tat. So what is mananam? Mananam is a stage which ideally follows Shravanam. For a Uttama Adhikari, highly qualified Shishya like Nachiketa, as even he is doing Shravana, Mananam will happen. Did we not see in Katha Upanishad? So Yama is giving the Upadesha, and young Nachiketa is, refusing the Pralobhanam, raising doubts, and then both are happening simultaneously. But generally, for the majority, first Shravanam will happen, then we will have doubts, conflicts. How can I, Alpajnaha, Alpashaktiman, Jiva, be Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman, Prabhu, Ishara? Like that, conflicts will come. So we have to revisit the notes, discuss, raise questions, have them answered. So Mananam is that Samshaya Nivriti stage. So settling of the doubts. So that Shruti Tatparya, the vision of the Upanishads will be firm and clear in the mind. So to do Mananam also, I should have a pure mind, and not get into this fallacious reasoning, tarka, which is unfavorable. So that is why look at the first word, yuktya. Yuktya means with yukti. Yukti means logic. What kind of logic? Favorable logic. Shruti anukula logic. With that, what will happen? Sambhavitatva anusandhanam. Deep analysis, anusandhanam, will be done for what? Sambhavitatvam. Now, sambhavana means possibility. So, I will arrive at, yes, this is possible. I had a doubt, but now the doubt is clear. Now, have you noticed when we continue Shravanam, sometimes we will have a doubt in the mind, but we do not verbalize it. Then somebody or somehow it gets answered in the next class or after a few weeks, or somebody else asked that question and your doubt was the same, you got it answered. So this means the universe is listening. So as long as we have a question, a prayer, a thought, then that will be addressed by the universe in some form or the other. So Mananam is that Jignasa stage. One must have Jignasa, inquire, reflect, and settle the doubts. Yeah. Otherwise, even when we have listened to the Shruti, Gita, Upanishads, Prakarana Granthas for decades, 10, 15, 20 years, but if we have not done Mananam, then that knowledge will not settle in the mind. It will not be assimilated, and there won't be any inner transformation. There will be understanding. We understand nature of Brahma, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, all that we understand, but it will remain at a paroksha level, intellectual level alone. If I want to translate into an aparoksha level, intimately understand it, then I have to do Mananam. And the next stage is even more important, which is Nidhi Dhyasanam. So let's see the shloka again here. Itham vakyaistadarthanusandhanam shravanam bhavet yuktya sambhavitatvanusandhanam mananantu tat. Now, in the next shloka, Acharya takes up the third sadhana in Jnana Yoga, which is Nididhyasanam. Tabhyam nirvichikitserthe, tabhyam nirvichikitserthe, chetasasthapitasya yat, ekatanatvametadhi, nididhyasanamuchyate. ताभ्याम निर्विचिकित्सेर्थे, निर्विचिकित्से अर्थे चेतसः स्थापितस्य यत् एकतानत्वम् एतत् हि निदिध्यासनम् उच्यते. Now, Acharya explains this important stage called Nididhyasanam. Also, we have heard many times. And we say it is Vedantic contemplation and Vedantic meditation and so on. But here it is a bit more accurately defined here. Now, if the Shravanam and Mananam was well done, very thoroughly it was done, then in those stages itself, Nididhyasana also gets taken care of. Nididhyasana means that the mind is in a state of abidance in the truth. That is, there is doubt free knowledge. There is crystal clear vision of the oneness of everything. Samadarshi, Jnani. So, such a Jnani who has gained the Samadarshanam, what is the Jnana Phalam? Jnana Phalam will be, the Jnani will be always an Anandam, free from insecurity, fear, anger, impulsive, emotional weaknesses, and guilts, regrets. All this will be free if that knowledge of Shravanam and Mananam has been properly assimilated. So, what is Nididhyasanam? Nididhyasanam is to live the teachings, is to be the Atma Brahma, is to own it up. We say owning up is to be the Tattvam. No? That is what Nididhyasanam will do for us. Now, after having done Shravanam and Mananam for, let's say, 10 years, 20 years, does this Nididhyasanam happen automatically? Are we, let us take our own example, are we free from anxiety? Are we free from attachment? Are we free from grief, regret, sadness, all these emotional weaknesses? Senior students who have studied for 10, 15 years, we still have them, right? So, somewhere in the corner of the mind or in the heart, there is a gap. And I tell myself, oh, I'm, not worried about name, fame, status. I don't want positions and to be famous. I don't care about my white hair also, graying hair. But if this person is not with me, then I will suffer. There is, secret attachments will be there in the heart for everyone. Yeah. So there'll be some form of emotional weakness which is denying us the jnana phalam. Yeah? That is, I am not enjoying that jnana phalam that the Shastras and the Guru says, you are Anandam. So be that Anandam. No, but there is always a nagging fear. Who will take care of my family? What will happen to me? Why did I get married? Why did I become a sannyasi? Why did I not settle abroad? And why did I do this? Why did I not do this? Regret, repentance, anxiety for the future. Whether we do Shravanam, Mananam or not, these thoughts will continue. Isn't it? In fact, you know what students say? Amma, since I have started Vedanta, my problems have increased. Many students will say this, when I began the Gita, Upanishads, Prakarana Granthas, then my problems seem to have increased. We have to put seem, and it is true. Why is it true? Because ignorance is bliss. Earlier, we were blissfully ignorant. Nobody told us, oh, you are Atma Brahma. So we pursued our short-term goals, long-term goals mechanically with family, friends, and colleagues. We were happy doing whatever we did, school, career, marriage, travel, and, parenthood, everything. But now, having come to Vedanta, it's like opening the Pandora box. So, all the inner secrets and the thoughts are going to surface. In fact, Pujya Swamiji said, earlier on, they were all buried. We were not aware. But now, when we begin the study of Vedanta, we become more sensitive. We become more, analyzing everything. Analyzing everything. And we are analyzing, oh, should I do this or not? Is this the Shreyo Marga or Preyo Marga? What will I gain by doing this? What will I lose by not doing it? Like that, we have started to think. And that is all. We have to pay a price for it. There is some discomfort of renunciation and tapas is involved. So it seems like a difficult path. But Acharya say, That is the, Uttishta Jagrata Varan Prapya Nibodhatha. Anandam is there. So the Jnana Phalam is the Atma Anandam. But for an Uttamadhikari can easily enjoy the Jnana Phalam. And Anadhikari means one who is not qualified for Vedanta will also not suffer because it's not come to Vedanta, blissfully ignorant. But we, we are like Trishankus. Trishankus in between mumukshus. That is, neither has one completely gained the jnana phalam anandam, nor are we samsari jivas anymore. So the in between status is talked about here. What will they do? They have to meditate. So that is the topic here, nididhyasnam topic. So, and also this mumukshu who is in between. Like, in between means the one who is on the Shreyo Marga, but having turned away from Artha Kama Samsaric life, but not yet free from Anishtam, not yet free from insecurity, fears, and all the problems. Yeah. For that, Acharyas say that one has to review the sadhana chatushtayam again. Yeah. No doubt, we had Viveka, we had some Vairagyam, and we had Guru Prapti. And we came to Shravanam. And then Mananam also we are doing. But what about my Shamaha, Damaha, Shamadhi Shakka Sampatihi? Is my Titiksha falling short? Do I have mastery over the tongue or do I get, upset with everyone at home, which I do not publicly show others? No? Or is my Titiksha consistency falling short? Mastery. So we have to review the checklist of sadhana chatushtayam again to see where the gap is there. Then plus do the nididhyasana. So now look at the first line of this shloka, number 54. Tabhyam. By those two, tabhyam means the earlier Shravanam and Mananam. Yeah. Having done Shravanam and Mananam, nirvichikitse arthe chetasaha sthapitasya yat. Now, vichikitsa, what does vichikitsa mean? Doubt. So, nirvichikitse arthe. So, when there is the doubtless knowledge, for in the mind, chetasaha sthapitasya yat. And that is because of Shravanam and Mananam. So when the doubt-free knowledge is there, no? So the first line is defining simple meditation. Now let us connect to chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita. Remember how Krishna gives all the steps, how to collect the rays of the mind and bring it back to the center, the source. Yato nischarati tatastato niyamya. From whatever object the mind wanders to family, some anatma here, and boss and work related, whatever, bring it back in the meditation to your mantra, your Ishtadevata, or the Gita shloka you're focusing on, or simply some, statements like Aham Brahma Asmi, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Asti Bhati Priyam. So bring it back to that center. That is the first line. Chetasaha sthapitasya yat. So do the sthapanam. Sthapanam of the chetas, of the mind. Yeah. In the Atma Tattvam. Nirvichikitse arthe. Doubtless nature of the artha, of the tattvam. And of course, after Shravanam and Mananam. Now, we should not think Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana are watertight compartments. After Shravanam, 10.5 years, I will do Mananam and then Nididhyasana. No. All the three can happen at the same time for an alert, focused mind. See, right now in the Zoom session, this can be like a meditation. Why? Because the mind has sajatiya vritti pravaha. We are all only dwelling on one thought. And that is the thought of Atma Brahma. And that is meditation. Sajatiya. Now, if there are random thoughts, it is said the mind will sometimes think like noodle thinking will be there, or mechanical thoughts, or impulsive thoughts. But when the mind is purified and trained to follow one line of thought, and that's mentioned in the second line, ekatanatvam. That word is important. Tana means thread. Ekatanatvam means one thread. That is, the mind is like a river flowing towards the source. Ekatanatvam is there, one thread. Or another example we have seen often is Tailadharavat. If I pour oil from one vessel to another, there is a continuous flow. That is meant here. Ekatanatvam will be there. And ekatanatvam etadhi nididhyasanam uchyate. And that is called nididhyasanam. That is when the mind is flowing as a single thread, as the river seeking to merge with the ocean, as the flow of oil, tailadharavat. Etadhi nididhyasanam uchyate. That is called nididhyasanam. So the author is saying here that when we maintain this continuous thought flow in the mind towards the thoughtless Nirguna Parabrahma Atma Tattvam, that Nididhyasanam is a thoughtless state of the mind. No. In the context of Vedanta, the mind can be thoughtless only in deep sleep and samadhi. But here we are talking about Nididhyasanam, where we are conscious, where we are awarefully observing the mind, and where the mind is flowing like the ekatana towards the source, Atma Brahma. And so, maintaining that flow is Nididhyasanam. And then we come to that, when the thoughts all reduce, and then finally there's the Akhandakara Vritti. Akhandakara Vritti is there is only the one. We're going to come to that in the later verses at the end of the chapter, where the meditator, that meditated upon, and the process of meditation all become one. There's only one, and that is Nirvikalpaka Brahma Tattvam. So you see here, an Uttama Adhikari. Uttama Adhikari is very well qualified with a clear mind, enjoying the doubtless, crystal clear knowledge and the vision of the Shruti, can be in a busy shopping mall, like Monda Market here, or the airport, or on the beach. But the mind will be centered on the teaching always. That will be the constant current. Ekatanatvam will be there. But on the other hand, another person can be in a very favorable, conducive setting like a temple or an ashram, but the mind is restless. The mind is jumping all over like a monkey. So, the Acharya is implying here that one must keep revisiting the checklist of Sadhana Chatushtayam, see where the emotional weaknesses are there. Is it because I'm attached? No, is it because I do not have the diksha? No, I don't have patience. Yeah, or some viveka is lacking, or my swadharma anushtanam is not proper. So we have to set right the external also vyavahara, the lifestyle, to match with the inner state. And that is why Karma Yoga comes first to reduce the turbulence in the mind, Ishvara Arpanam and Prasada Buddhi. Then Upasanas, Bhakti, Japa, Parayanam. And then we take up the Jnana Bhakti, this Anusandhanam, through Shravanam, Maranam, Nididhyasanam, and arrive at the Atma Tattvam. So, clearly, where is the obstruction? If we are listening to the teacher, and if we dismiss the teacher, the teacher could not explain that properly. Now, that is possible because even teachers are humans, right? So, maybe some communication gap is there. But a good Shishya will question his or her own receptivity, And it's just like the pipeline, there is water in the pipeline, but when I open the tap, water does not come out. Where is the problem? Some blockage. Some blockage is there. So when that is why Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam. So when I internalize and through meditation and nididhyasnam, I will take care of my emotional weaknesses and limitation. Some obstruction is there, which is denying me the jnana phalam. And through Shravanam and Mananam, we can easily take care of the intellectual doubts. Yeah. But the emotional value I have, emotional value for a person, for any object in the world, for some pursuit, I have to address it. Otherwise, it becomes an obstruction in the path of gaining that Atma Tattva. Okay. So we have seen the last two verses here. 53 and 54 are simply defining Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. इत्थं वाक्यैस्तदर्थानुसन्धानं श्रवणं भवेत् युक्त्या सम्भावितत्वानुसन्धानं मननं तु तत् ताभ्यां निर्विचिकित्सेऽर्थे चेतसस्थापितस्य यत् एकतानत्वमेतद्धि निदिध्यासनमुच्यते ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ